I'll be presenting the plan amendment and rezoning today from G&G Brothers. The request is to amend the Schedule A plan map of the City of Miramichi, Municipal Plan Bylaw number 109, to change the designation from residential to commercial, and also to change the Schedule A zoning map of the City of Miramichi, zoning bylaw number 110, to change the zoning from residential low density R2 to general commercial GC. And that will be for the subject property described as PID 40265878, located at 1265 King George Highway in the city of Miramichi, to allow the construction of a motor vehicle dealership building. We have an aerial view of the subject property, which is outlined here in blue. And this is a closer view of the property. And here we have the oblique view of the subject property. The shape of the subject property is an irregular rectangle, and it has an area of 1 hectare. The proposed access is via King George Highway, and it is actually serviced with storm and sanitary. The current zoning, as mentioned, is R2, and the future land use designation is residential. There is an existing house which will be demolished, and the applicant is proposing to construct a motor vehicle dealership building. So the building proposed will be 150 feet per 100 feet for the motor vehicle dealership building. It will have approximately 25 exterior parking spaces and a ramp. There will be a paved areas and green areas with grass, and also a fenced outdoor court display, which will be crushed or gravelled. The entrance driveway will be off King George Highway, and the applicant will use a private well for water services. Phasing and construction timeline of the project has not been indicated. The proposed development will require private well water and proper drainage system. Departmental and agency comments will provide further details. Any potential development will still be subject to the general commercial and other zoning regulations, along with any potential conditions that Council wishes to impose. We have some photos of the property. This is a view of the subject property looking north from applicant's current development. The subject property looking north from applicant's current development. This is also a view of the subject property with some residences looking northeast. We have a view of the subject property behind a neighboring property looking west. This is a view on the right of the future street and access to the subject property. Another view on the right of the future street and access to the subject property. We can see some automotive dealership buildings as well. This is the applicant's site plan sketch submitted, and we have an idea of the location of the proposed building with some parking spaces. So, as per the municipal plan bylaw number 109 schedule, we can see that the Schedule A of the actual property is residential. There is no designation under Schedule C, which is commercial hierarchy or designations, and under Schedule D for the road hierarchy and designations. King George Highway is a major arterial road, and Bannon Road is a local road. So we checked the municipal plan policies and goals to check compliance of the project. So the proposed development will help meet the goal of supporting commercial development and expansion, and will help cater to the transportation needs of the growing population. Allowing the rezoning would not cause any land use conflict, since the zone next to the subject property is zoned general commercial, and thus it will just expand the commercial area. The subject property is wide enough to support private on-site water and sewer systems, and the capacity of the main street can accommodate any increase in traffic. With the growing population, the increase of the number of newcomers, and also considering the city is very car-dependent transport-wise, the proposed use will help sustain the community. So we also have, we know that the subject property is surrounded by an area with a variety of uses, so adding more to the commercial uses will expand the nearby commercial area and provide a mixed-use type of development, which will create a vibrant environment. And additionally, this development will help align with the goal of economic development, which is a priority of the city, by adding a service which will help create a more attractive environment. The zoning bylaw map, the bylaw number 110, shows that the subject property is designated as residential low density R2. The proposed use is not permitted under the current residential low density R2 zoning of the subject property. It is permitted under the general commercial zoning. And when we check the regulations of the general commercial zone, we do see that the proposed development at this phase is compliant. It meets most of the requirements, even though some, criteria or specifications are not on the plan. Those will be checked further when we receive a detailed site plan. So the lot area, the lot frontage, the lot depth are compliant because they meet the requirements. We also can see that, for example, outside storage or display of merchandise is permitted as per the regulations. The screening shall be provided and maintained along a lot line abutting a community use, residential zone, or existing residential use. That also is compliant, and others as well. The only thing that is not compliant as of now is the landscape open space, which should be a minimum width of 3 meters, and that is only for one side. The plan submitted by the applicant should be considered as conceptual, and therefore the final approved development could vary from that which is presented in the report and this presentation. This is to allow for flexibility in the often required revisions to development plans as they progress through the development process or to add missing elements. Notably, the zoning bylaw allows development in areas of the city that are not fully serviced, which are municipal water and sewer, as per regulations in subsection 312. Overall, with the actual characteristics of the proposed development, it seems to meet the requirements for the general commercial zone. Further review will be done to confirm full compliance once a detailed site plan will be provided. If the rezoning is approved, the applicant will require a building permit from the Planning Services Office for the construction of a motor vehicle dealership building. So after the rezoning application is heard by City Council, there is no mechanism to add additional terms and conditions that are not regulated by the zoning bylaw. And if Council wishes to provide more immediate and long-term certainty with regard to the proposed rezoning, address potential incompatibility with surrounding uses, or restrict or relax the general commercial development rules, they should consider recommending or utilizing Section 59 of the Community Planning Act C19 to place additional terms and conditions on the use or development. So this is a summary of the land use activities in the area. The subject property is located in the Newcastle neighborhood of the city. And the area to the north, northeast, and south of the subject property within a radius of 500 meters is primarily residential. So the residential low density R2 is the majority here, and the minority of the areas are zoned general commercial, rural, WAWA overlay, and flood overlay. The area to the northwest and west of the subject property is a mix of areas zoned as residential low density, general commercial, institutional, utility and service, active recreation, passive recreation or green space, WAWA overlay, and flood overlay. The Miramichi River is at approximately 165 meters of the subject property to the south, and the river branch Fort Brook at approximately 330 meters of the subject property to the west. The property is located in close proximity to a major arterial road, which is King George Highway, and local roads as Bannon Road, Ryan Road, and Abram Street. There are a few uses surrounding the subject property. We have commercial uses like automotive dealerships, which are several of them, like Miramichi Kia, Town, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Miramichi Meat, Cotton Cove Groomers, and Over the Cove Zipline. We have a recreational or park use, which is French Fort Cove Playground. And regarding the neighborhood impacts and compatibility, the proposed development will increase the volume of noise and overall activity in a way that would surpass the existing conditions and patterns of activity in the neighborhood. It is possible that residents and businesses in the area may object to the proposed development of the property. However, considering the adjacent zone is a commercial zone, it should not cause any conflict of uses. Specific neighborhood impacts of concerns, may be identified as the application progresses through the planning process. For example, notification of property owners within 100 meters, notice in the local paper, and a public hearing. So regarding the department comments, a request for comments has been sent to different City of Miramichi departments, and we received these comments from the Departments of Engineering and Public Works. The lot has access to sanitary sewer only. A private well will be required. As there is an existing house on the property, there is more than likely an existing well. So the developer shall review with NB Department of Environment and Local Government on how to decommission the existing well. Developer shall coordinate with Public Works to confirm size, location, and applicable fees. And regarding the access, the development shall be restricted to up to 20 meters access of Bannon Road, no access of King George Highway. The drainage, for the drainage, a plan is required, which will be stamped by a professional engineer with a zero net increase in post-construction drainage as per the stormwater guidelines. Regarding the planning staff views and prac views, so pursuant to Section 110(1) of the Community Planning Act C19, it is the view of the Planning Review and Adjustment Committee of the Greater Miramichi Regional Services Commission that the City of Miramichi amends the Schedule A Municipal Plan map of the City of Miramichi, which is the Municipal Plan Bylaw number 109, to change the zoning from residential to commercial, and also the zoning map, the Schedule A of the zoning map, of the City of Miramichi zoning bylaw number 110 to change the zoning from residential low density R2 to general commercial. That would be for the subject property described as PID 40265878, which is located at 1265 King George Highway in the City of Miramichi. That will allow the construction of a motor vehicle dealership building. That will be subject to the following terms and conditions pursuant to Section 59 of the Community Planning Act. The developer shall submit a detailed site plan to the development officer for compliance to be confirmed prior to the issuance of any required building permits for the proposed development. The developer shall decommission the existing well and coordinate with Public Works, to confirm size, location, and applicable fees. And the development shall be restricted to up to 20 meters access of Bannon Road, and there is no access of King George Highway. And finally, the developer shall provide a drainage plan stamped by a professional engineer with a zero net increase in post-construction drainage as per the stormwater guidelines. And I will end the presentation today.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
I'll now review the next steps in the process. The clerk's office will receive written objections to the proposed bylaw amendment. A public hearing is scheduled for July 30th, 2024 at 6 p.m. at City Hall, 141 Henry Street, to consider written objections. Anyone wishing to support or oppose those written objections may do so at that time. I'd like to point out that you can write in with your support as well, but it's the objections that would trigger the public process. With that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn, please.